Episode, I don't know if you saw the show notes, but I'm taking a little break of ships and going over Andor's history
Yeah, I saw that.
since the show starts tomorrow, which I completely forgot about.
Yeah. I'll be quite honest, I'm not that excited about it.
I've
Uh
seen some, I've seen people watching the premiere and like the first four episodes,
uh-huh.
and like a lot of places are giving it really high like reviews, which is nice, but yeah, like I don't know. It's a story about a character who we all know where he goes. We
Right.
all
I
know
think
his end.
all right, but we all watched the prequels.
Exactly. So
Um, but I think that this show is like 5 years too late.
yeah, I feel that too. Um,
I'm also
I mean,
just
I'm still gonna watch it,
I'm
but
gonna give it the minute. I'm a big stickler that like the essence of Star Wars is not about this like morally gray characters. Like there are good guys and there are bad guys, and the good guys win in the end. That is the overarching theme of Star Wars. And you can argue about the prequels, but we know from the story that the good guys do win in the end with that one.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
But and so I'll be really annoyed if they kind of like go with that last Jedi strand of like, oh well, the rebels and the Empire are both bad. They're just different ideologies or what. I was like, no. So I have noticeably said that if they do that, I'm going to stop watching.
that's fair.
But
Yeah, I know. Like Andor's gonna be it. Like you said, I think it is too late of a series. If it was like if Rogue One never released, and they do this, and then like, hey, then Rogue One came out as a film. Oh, I think that would be perfect. But we know what happens to Andor right before Episode 4. And like, yeah, okay, cool. We get his backstory a little bit more in depth. And I
uh-huh.
know they say the series is mainly going to be, hey, it's the start of like the spark of the rebellion and everything. But we get that also in Rebels.
Right. And it's
So
I don't I just don't know how I'm
unless they like
gonna feel
flush a
about it.
lot of stuff out,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be up for debate. But
Right.
granted, Andor starts tomorrow, but the end of October we get Tales of the Jedi, which I'm all for that. I'm super pumped for that.
Right. I think it's gonna be Tales of the Jedi. I think is gonna be good.
Even though it's only 6 episodes.
Yeah, but I mean, my favorite thing that Disney has put on was Visions,
Oh, Visions is great.
and that was only like 8 episodes or something like that.
True. I mean, we are getting Visions Volume 2, I think, next year.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
excited about that.
and then Ahsoka is also next year, which is going to be nice.
My dog has the zoomies.
Ah,
You can see her. Oh, you can't see her. Are you okay? Are you gonna stop? No. Okay. I think we're okay now. She's like right here.
uh
I
huh.
don't know if you can see,
I
but
can't
that's
see
okay.
him, but I saw the blanket move.
Oh yeah.
All right. But before we start, did you see the casting they did for Ezra?
I did. I did see that. Yeah.
Holy crap. I don't know what God or what Disney did to get someone who looks identical to the CG design of Ezra in real life, but
Right.
I'm super pumped.
Right. I think it'll be good. It'll be interesting how all
I
that
just
works
wanna
out.
I just wanna see Sabine in costume. We seen the back of her. Let me see her in full fledged costume.
Yeah.
But all right, I'm ready whenever you are.
I'm ready to go.
All right.
This podcast is part of the Robots Radio Rocket Club, a program designed to help all podcasts reach their full potential. For information about joining the Robots Radio Rocket Club, check out robotsradio.net.
Welcome to Holocron Histories, Star Wars Canon versus Legends, where we're going to take a deep dive into the lore of the Star Wars universe.
All right. Well, welcome to the Holocron Histories podcast where we talk about legends versus canon in the Star Wars universe. I am Austin, also known as Teacup. I am one of your hosts for this podcast.
And I am Ben of Temeria.
All right. So last week, glad to be back after I was gone for vacation. So last week, you all talked about the Corvette, not the car.
Yes, not the car Corvette, the spaceship Corvette,
Which is the first ever spaceship we see in Star Wars if you are watching in release order.
Yes.
Um, which is exciting. Well, we're taking a break from starships this week, and we are going to talk about Cassian Andor.
Yes, we are going to go over Andor's history that we know of currently. If you're not watching this live and you're listening to the podcast on stream, it's going to be Thursday, so the show's already started by that time. But we are going to go over his history that we know of so far before the show, because the show apparently is going to be going to a lot more in depth with his history.
Yeah. Well, we'll learn about that. So let's just dive into good old Andor. I think that here, answer me a question.
Yeah.
Do you think Cassian Andor is a Kyle Katarn ripoff?
Ooh. Now that you say, oh my god, now that you say that, yeah. I mean, they kind of basically ripped off Kyle Katarn, not giving Cassian's force wielding abilities and a lightsaber.
Right. Well, and this was the thing that was brought up with Rogue One. I don't want to get too much into it, but Kyle's like love interest slash co-pilot slash partner in crime is named Jen. Not only that, her name is Jen Orzo.
Yes, guys, let's just change one letter. Just this.
Not only that,
Oh no, it goes even worse.
she is voiced by the voice actor for Hera Syndulla.
What the heck? What? Oh my god.
But for those of you
Oh
who
my
don't know,
god,
Kyle
that's
Katarn
insane.
is kind of like the Legends material person who goes and steals the Death Star plans. Uh, you play as him in some of the old Jedi Knight series games that are only available for PC, and I'm actually think that they are not very Windows 10 and beyond friendly. Those
This
games.
is the original Jedi Knights, right? Not the Outcast games, correct?
Correct. It's the Jedi Knight Dark Forces games,
Dark
I
Force.
believe.
Okay, yeah, okay, yeah. So if anybody wants to play them, they're on Steam.
Yes. I will note that you might have to do some work around and looking for kind of modders who have modded the files because they are not Windows 10 friendly.
Mm-mm.
And they are dated. They are very dated.
Just look at the screenshots, you'll understand.
Yes. And they're great games and the stories are great, but if you can't make it through the gameplay, you can read up on it.
Oh yeah, or even go on YouTube and watch like playthroughs, older playthroughs. But yeah, no, God, now I can't think of. Now I can't stop thinking about that. Now that you said that. Crap. Well played,
I do
Disney.
think I
Well
will say
played.
this. I think Cassian is rougher than Kyle is. Kyle is he's kind of jaded and he's
Yeah.
cynical in his own way, but it's more in that like Star Wars comic
Mm-hmm.
thing. Like he's like the Jedi Han Solo is what I've heard him say before, um, which I think is probably fair.
Yeah, I would say so.
Um,
Yeah, Cassian, I would say, is a lot more morally gray, more towards a darker tone. Because and as we're going to go into his his stuff before Rogue One that we know of so far, he is okay making some difficult choices.
yes, very much so. But anyway, we've talked too much, so let's get into the
So
content.
yes, so in his early life, Cassian Geron Andor was a human male who was born on the planet Fest in 26 BBY to a father and mother that we don't know their names as of yet. However, although records recounted that his origin was on Fest, questions about the truth that claim emerged due to the haze caused by covert operations and war. So, that being said, we don't know, was he truly born on Fest or was he born somewhere else because, he was a spy for the rebellion and undercover operative for most of his life. So, like many other rebels of his generation, conflict was a constant throughout Andor's life, but those many struggles were largely undocumented. Makes sense. As he later proclaimed, proven if it was true, it was known that he fought as a revolutionary since he was only 6 years old. Aside from that constant battle, there was little else in Andor's life. So, and I think we before we see Andor's, since this will go out Thursday, we haven't seen the show yet. From just the trailers alone, you can kind of get a glimpse of it already that he's been fighting well before he was ever a rebel or part of the Rebel Alliance.
Right. And like he says as much to Jen in Rogue One, where he's basically like, I think he actually says, I've been fighting this fight since I was 6 years old.
Mm-hmm. Which is insane.
Yes.
So during the Clone Wars, Andor joined the insurrectionist cell backed by the Confederacy of Independent Systems that operated in the wilds of the Outer Rim territories and fought against the Galactic Republic. While he never became a formal separatist, Andor saw his first combat experience in the cell as a child soldier in 20 BBY by tossing rocks and bottles at Republic walkers and clone troopers. What the heck? The Separatists. What the heck, guys? Like, I knew the Outer Rim was rough, but child soldiers? He did not do much else during this time as a child soldier. However, during the Clone Wars, when Andor was still young, Andor's father was killed at the Cardia Academy during the protests against the expansion of the Republic militarism. He lost his mother at a young age as well. So we'll probably get more on his parents in the series, honestly, and get more like in depth on them and a little bit more actually screen time of his time as a younger child soldier, possibly, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, I think this is a really good kind of segue. Like, I think if the show can do this, it might serve a greater purpose of showing that like that the separatists kind of are the ones that actually form into the rebellion.
Oh, okay.
And we got a little bit of that in the Rebel Alliance's history. or the
Yeah,
alliance to rebel against the
I
Empire, or
mean,
whatever it's
with
called.
the Republic then becoming the Empire and the Empire purging the Separatists completely, especially when we talk about that on our Empire episode,
Right.
they just purged the Separatists. So I can see why the Separatists would like reform themselves as the Rebel Alliance to take
Well,
back
and basically,
or
like, and we see this in the Clone Wars show, especially with a couple of Padme's arcs with her friends in the Separatist Alliance or the Confederacy of Independent Systems,
Mhm.
and basically all of their points are proven right when the Republic becomes the Empire. So I don't see those senators just kind of like out of fear falling back into line. I would assume that the senators who are kind of working within the Republic, like Bail Organa, Mon Mothma, all these people, they would turn to the separatists and be like, I know we've been enemies all these years, but let's work together now. Like, this is not
Mhm.
okay.
Basically saying, "Hey, we're sorry we were at war with each other.
Yeah.
You were right."
Mm-hmm.
It's like we were lied to. We fell victim in a trap that we had no idea was about, that happened. Both parties.
Yeah, exactly.
So then we skip well over like a good like chunk, like 10, 15 years, his life in a rebel as a rebel intelligence. After spending time with the anarchist groups that defiled the Empire, Galactic Empire, Andor joined the early rebellion, which would later become the Alliance to restore the Republic. After being recruited by General Davitz Draven, who was another veteran of the Clone Wars and became Andor's case officer, holding the rank of captain, Andor served as an officer in the Alliance's intelligence branch, and which he spent most of his Alliance service in. So we do see Draven in the trailer. I believe that is Draven that we see, which is oh god, he's in the Marvel films
Oh,
as
he's the scientist with
he's the
Thor.
scientist in Thor, the older gentleman in that film,
Mm-hmm.
in those
Eric
films.
Selvig.
Yes. Um, yeah, I don't remember half the names in Marvel, but that actor is going to be playing Draven, who
Mm-hmm.
recruits Andor, in
Right.
which we do see that in the trailer. So Andor establishes a reputation as an agent who is willing to die in the name of taking down the Empire. He often worked alone on missions where he had little hope for backup. He also involved in scrappy but nevertheless vicious battles waged in unclear goals. So back to where we're like he's kind of like more like gray, kind of a darker tone. Like this is the part where he will do whatever he needs to do to get the mission done at this point.
Right.
Becoming a veteran spy of the rebellion, who took many missions that could deem morally questionable, Andor maintained a network of contacts throughout the galaxy who kept him informed of the Empire's activities. All throughout his career as an intelligence agent, Andor also worked undercover, used several aliases in locations under the Imperial control, taking on the dangerous task to secure intel on Imperial actions. During one of his missions, Andor needed to impersonate government agents on the planet Order Mantell. While working as one of the government agent, he went by the name of Willix.
That just sounds like a Star Wars name.
Willix, yeah,
Willix.
and how it's spelled too, Willix.
Yep.
That is totally a Star Wars sounding
At
name.
100%.
So as a senatorial contract on Darknell, he was Arc,
Probably.
Oct, yeah, AACK or CH. Andor used the name Jorith Sword, when he was an assistant to Admiral Grundoref. Andor also used the code name Fulcrum when he worked as a rebel recruiter in the Albaro sector. He worked several new agents during the operation under the Fulcrum codename. He also funneled intelligence to many rebel cells. So, if you heard the name Fulcrum before, which if you ever watched Star Wars Rebels, you would know Fulcrum is a secret operative in the Rebel Alliance, doing multiple different types of tasks. Fulcrum is also, like, Ahsoka held the name Fulcrum for a bit, and then eventually it was what's his name? And
Agent Callus.
Callus eventually becomes Fulcrum.
Right. And it makes sense, like, especially in this day and age, like, Fulcrum is an important codename because in the early days of the Alliance, the Fulcrum alias is the only person who is communicating between rebel cells.
Yes. Yeah. There's no, like, grand scheme. Like, there's not, like, a huge... they're not a combined force yet.
Right.
Like we see in, like, the original trilogy.
Mm-hmm. We don't... Actually, Rogue One is the start of that. Mm-hmm. Really. Of a combined force that comes to oppose the Empire. Mm-hmm. Kind of in the start of Rebels with the Siege of Lothal, but...
I would say towards the end of Rebels, because that's when they actually started, like...
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Being on the on Yavin 4 and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So, by virtue of spending so much of his service undercover in the star systems that were under Imperial control, he was able to see firsthand how ruthless Imperial occupation could be towards the people they controlled, with the spy often being stationed on moons and planets that the Empire was strip mining. Ultimately, Andor decided to take many morally questionable options instead of doing nothing against the Empire over the course of his career. While most of his fellow undercover rebels did not survive their own missions, Andor managed to survive, but recognized that his successes, like those other agents, did not bring about major victories in the struggling rebel cells. So, yes, he's successful in all his missions, but his missions aren't having a huge impact as they probably should, because the Empire is just so vast.
Right.
And then during that time, Andor came to rely on the fact that he was following orders to justify the actions he carried out in the name of the rebellion. And to BBY, Senator Mon Mothma, who was in contact with Draven, managed to unite the different rebel cells in the truly unified Rebel Alliance.
Which I will say this about Mon Mothma. One, I didn't know that was her name until way later in my Star Wars career, because I was like, oh, look, another woman in the galaxy. Mm-hmm. Which, if you watch the original trilogy, there are two women in the galaxy, which are Leia and Mon Mothma.
Yeah.
But learning about her, I would hate her as a person in the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Like, especially if you read the Leia Princess of Alderaan book, or even just, like, watching her in Rebels, and just, like, she's just very much embodiments that whole, like, oh, let's just wait for the right time and do this right now. Meanwhile, there's genocide happening on countless presents by the Empire.
Right. Oh, hey, let's wait and, like, not attack the Empire, and then planets get blown up.
Exactly.
Exactly. Or if you want to talk about the events of Rogue One, Jeddah gets freaking nuked. Like, the planet doesn't explode, but the Pirate City's just wiped out. But
yeah, I know. It's just, I just don't think we would get along. I think I would be a thorn in her side, and I think she would annoy me.
That's fair. But now we get to the part where Andor meets K2SO, which this was all new stuff for me. I never knew how they met before prior to Rogue One, because it's just, I think it was mainly comics. I think is when they showed all this stuff. Maybe.
I think so. I'd have to double check.
But Cassian proposed a mission to Draven to recover Imperial protocols on Wikako. I think that's how you say the planet name. Draven suggested that Cassian take twins, Kurtus and Rismore, who were renowned in their skills in gathering Imperial intelligence. However, the twins did not speak much, as they communicated via smell. That's interesting. Smell as communication? Like, what? The team expected a limited Imperial presence due to the fact that the Wikako was a backwater planet, and upon arriving, they found the facility guarded by swarms of KX series security droids and stormtroopers. Cassian imagined Alliance High Command ordered him to turn back, but determined not to end up empty-handed, decided to proceed. The team slipped into the sewage pipe and entered the storage facility to find abandoned Imperial cruiser. Ultimately, they were spotted entering the tunnels, and stormtroopers began investigating the area under surveillance cameras. Go figure. While they were hurtling, searching for data, Cassian looked for another way out. Suddenly, an alarm rang out, and the team was forced to flee. Since there was too many troops along the perimeter, Cassian decided to distract one of the security droids, K2SO, and then shut him down. The droid pinned him, but then the twins shut him down and removed his memory. K2SO escorted the spies to their ship, but they were soon intercepted by stormtroopers. And then when they arrived at the ship, they found it surrounded by troopers. Both the twins ran off, telling him that K2 had all the info they needed. Suddenly the ship exploded. Cassian realized that he had to get rid of the base programming to have the droid as his ally, and deleted the last memories. The pair then ran to a ship and hijacked it. And then Cassian took the droid back to the ship and learned the new Imperial security protocols. K2SO was subsequently modified to come under Andor's ownership, with the rebel spy developing a friendship with the reprogrammed droid as they continued to work together. So, he straight up hacked him.
Yeah, K2SO, or as I call him, C-3PO if C-3PO mouthed back to Han.
Oh my god, K2SO is great. His commentary in Rogue One is the best.
Though, I will tell you, fighting the KX series droids
In Fallen Order?
In Fallen Order,
it's terrifying.
Is my least favorite thing. I would rather fight the second sister on like Jedi Grandmaster difficulty for
the KX series are
in the KX series
ridiculous in the game. Like, out of all the enemies, they're like the worst to fight. I would rather fight 100 purge troopers instead of those things.
Right, exactly. And then there's that one room on Ilum where you walk in and there's like 13 of them.
Yeah.
I embrace my inner Dark Souls when I get into that room, and it's hit, dodge, hit,
cry,
dodge, hit, dodge, hit, dodge.
Oh, I just cry. It's like, I don't want to be here. Oh god. And Jedi Survivor's not going to get any better because they are confirmed to be in that game too. Yeah, and B1 battle droids somehow they were in the game.
Well, we know from our history that the battle droids, even though they were decommissioned, they didn't just disappear.
True. This is very true. But with that being said, I say it's time to get into our mid-break.
All right. All right. Well, welcome to the middle of the show where we talk about everything that has to do with the Lorecast, this is not a Lorecast, with the Holocron Histories podcast that doesn't have to do with the lore of Star Wars. And so it's now that I would like to thank our patrons. Thank you so much for supporting with us. Did we read new patrons last week?
Yes. So, do Do we have new? I don't think we have new patrons.
I don't think we have new patrons either. I think we're good.
But we do have
But
a
anyway.
new review.
Oh, you didn't read that last week?
No, we just got. It just came in Monday.
Oh, okay.
But it's a 5-star review. Just saw this today, and this is back on the last Monday. It didn't show up until like after we recorded the show. Is this awesome for Star Wars nerds like me, and is still great for everyone else? By SB737.
Yes, thank you for that review. And you can support us with reviews on Apple and Spotify. And if you leave us some kind words, we will read them out on a future episode of the show. You can also support us via Patreon with signing up at various tiers. If you do sign up for our Sith Lord / Jedi Master tier, you can join us on the show at the end of the month. You can see that that will actually happen next week.
Yes.
We will have our patron chat hanging out and doing that next week. But if you want to, it is not too late. If you sign up before then, you can join us on this month's episode, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And you
Yes.
can even sign up the day of, as long as it's before we record the show.
Yes.
And I think we might be talking about Andor reactions, possibly.
Maybe.
But that's still up in the air. Who knows?
We'll see. Is the whole series dropping at once?
No, it's the first 3 episodes out of 12.
All right.
So,
Anyway,
3 hours.
So yeah, maybe that'll be fun. You can support us there. You can also join us on the Cups Podcasting and More Discord server, where we talk about all of these podcasts and more podcasts, and you can just hang out with us there. If you want to hang out in a great hub for video game podcasting, you can join the Robots Radio Discord, where you can find other Rocket Club podcasts. You can find a bunch of podcasts about video games and hang out and talk and learn there. I do want to announce that Ben and I both have new podcasts coming out
We do.
very soon. So as you might have heard, I and my other co-host She-Cup, we are starting the Inheritance Cycle Page by Page podcast, which is a read-through kind of book club discussion of the Inheritance or Aragon books. She-Cup's reading them for the first time, so you'll get some first impression reactions. And then Ben, you have a new podcast coming up.
I do. I am starting the Wizarding World Lorecast with Captain Shenko from the MCU Lorecast, where we're going to take a deep dive in all the lore of the Wizarding World, or aka Harry Potter. So we're going to go deep dive into that stuff. Our episode 0 is up. Our episode 1 will actually drop the day after this episode drops on Thursday. So it'll be this upcoming Friday.
All right.
Or
Are
if
you
you're
going to
listening,
be live streaming these episodes in the future,
at some point, right now we're just going to do the recording stuff, and then just drop them on Fridays. But we probably will do a recording live stream at some point in the future. Just depends. Right now we've been recording pretty at 10 p.m. Eastern, so it's kind of late. Though
Yeah.
I could say the same thing. I mean, Two Girls One Ship, if anybody listens to them, they record actually at 10:30 p.m. Eastern my time. So
Yes, but
I guess it's not really that late.
It's 7:30 for Jen. So.
True, because she's Pacific. That is true. 7:30 for her, so it's great for her.
Yes. All right. Well, I think that's all I have for the mid break, so we can get back into the Andor stuff.
Sweet. All right, now that we're back, more
I missed the
on
Windhelm scream.
Did you?
Yeah.
What? Do I need to play it again?
Yeah, I think you need to play it just for my heart. No.
Did you not hear it?
No. Still nothing.
What?
Oh well. I'll just have to be not have the Wilhelm scream.
What? I heard it. What the heck?
Well, if you heard it, it means it's on the podcast, so.
That's true. So now we get to, this is also, I believe, the comics. Mission to the Fenzor system. It's spelled really weird. So following his meetup with K2SO, Andor and K2SO were sent to the Fenzor system to undertake a raid on the Imperial freighter. Andor used gas to trick the Empire into thinking that the smugglers stole cargo, as smugglers were known to use gas to raid transports. Good to know. When they got to the cargo room, they found 3 Wookiees named Dakota, Delilah, and Wyatt, and took them instead of the cargo. Andor then took them to the monastery moon of Chassia in the Barton sector. There he left K2SO to look after the 3 Wookiees while he undertook a raid which was successful. So, Andor and K2SO saved some Wookiees.
You're not a real rebel unless you save Wookiees at some point.
This is true.
It's just how I don't make the rules.
This is very true. I mean, Wookiees are saved like at least once a season in Rebels alone. So then we have investigating the Alus. In 0 BBY, Andor sent K2 to Coruscant to infiltrate the Olu family. The rebels believed the Imperial advisor Sim Elu and his daughter Akela were collecting Sith artifacts for Emperor Palpatine. Under the guise of cargo droid named K2SB, K2SO spied on the operations until a ship he was on was stolen by the Wookiee Chewbacca and the young bounty hunter Mavelyn Trillick, both whom were blackmailed into assisting Akina, recovered an artifact from the planet Ushru, and K2 had been tasked by Akela to pilot the ship there, and when he communicated the situation to Andor, Andor ordered him to assist them but to recover the artifact himself and not allow it to return to Alus. So, a lot happened there. Chewbacca stole Sith artifacts.
Right. Can we just talk about, like, how K2SB? Like,
yeah. Hey, let's change one letter in his name.
It's okay. It's the same astromech. He looks exactly the same, but he's now R2C2.
Yeah.
Like, what? What?
Yeah. And compared to astromechs, where they're just different colors, the KX series is the same color, period.
Right.
They're black with an Imperial emblem on their shoulder. That is it. There is no difference. Oh my god. Yes, that's a great disguise, K2. That's great. Let's just change one letter in your name.
At least they paint Chopper when he.
That's true. At least they do something for him. They change him into Imperial colors at least.
Yeah.
Now, how the Empire, I still don't understand how the Empire doesn't realize like they don't own C units or have any droids that look remotely close to Chopper.
Right.
And still they get away with it all the time. It's just boggles my mind.
No, there is one episode where there is a C whatever.
Really?
Yeah. Because they chases after Chopper, and that's how they get caught. But I mean, he's an old model of astromech.
Oh, super old.
And I don't know how. This is just kind of a consistency thing, but R2D2 is an old model of astromech.
True. R2 is an older unit. Yeah, it's true.
Like the R5, which looks clunkier and.
I mean, they have R6s.
Actually, is a new model of astromech.
Mm-hmm. They even use the
by the time.
But they mainly use, I think, R5s and R6s during the Empire. That the Empire used. Yeah. So now we get to the Ring of Kofrin. I think that's how you say it. These names are killing me today. Andor often went to great lengths to recover information about threats to the rebellion, with the man developing a particular focus on retrieving intelligence about weapons development. Andor began working to surveil Imperial kyber crystal shipments. with his contacts, confirming that the ring of Kafrin was a hub of undercover Imperial transportation of the dangerous crystals. Ooh. I wonder what the crystals are used for. Oh no. Although he could not discover the magnitude of their operation due to the fact that the Empire was using civilian ships to do the bulk of the movement, he reported the development to General Draven. Which, anybody realizes, these kyber crystals are using a big weapon that makes things explode. In the light of this knowledge, in 0 BBY, Andor was dispatched on a mission to the Ring of Kofrin to meet Tivik, an injured rebel informant from Saw Gerrera's partisans in Section 9. Though Tivik, Andor learned vital information about how the Empire had built a superweapon, which his informant, a defecting cargo pilot named Birdie Hook, described as a planet killer. Ooh, he met Brody Rook, who we all know is in Rogue One.
I think we saw this scene in Rogue
Did
One.
we?
I think this is the first scene we see Cassian in, where he's
I
with
think
the
you're
informant
right.
guy, and then he kills him. Spoiler alert.
You're right. This is parts of the scenes of Rogue One. I did not realize when I was making these show notes. But here's some stuff from Rogue One. As he continued to try to coax information out of Tivik, 2 stormtroopers advance towards him. The stormtroopers surround him, having become suspicious of the exchange of the 2 troopers. Before they demanded to see scan docs, despite deeming it to be a terrible moral choice. Andor realized there is a chance that Tivik would have been taken prisoner and interrogated until he revealed what he had told the fellow rebel, which would mean that he would need to kill the informant to protect what he learned from getting out. So yeah, it's like the first scene that we see with Andor.
Mm-hmm.
Andor only had a few moments to consider the options before him as the stormtroopers demanded answers. He feigned awkwardness before quickly drawing a blaster pistol, gunning down the 2 troopers. Another trooper noticed the incident and called for reinforcements to Section 9, realizing their Cladstein meeting location was also a dead end. Cassian deduced the quickest escape path was to climb out, but Tivik revealed they would be unable to escape the area because because of his injured arm. And then, although Andor claimed Tivik, he quickly decided to shoot Tivik in the back and assured he would not capture it to the Empire. Visibly upset by deciding to wait before he reflected on what he had done, Cassian stowed his pistol in his belt, left the bodies, and climbed away before more stormtroopers could arrive as they closed in. And then we get to the events of Rogue One, basically. And if you want to know more, watch the film. The film is really good.
Yes, I might get some flack for this, but I think it is the best film of the Disney era.
Yes. I would second that. Rogue One was phenomenal. Giving us all the back info we needed. Like, great story. Already knew what was going to happen at the very end of the film because it was told to us in Episode 4, A New Hope, back in the 70s.
Yeah.
So then we get to his legacy. With his bravery, having helped to turn the tide of the conflict between the Empire and the Rebellion, Andor became a hero of the Rebel Alliance. Although the path towards victory was littered with the emotional cost soldiers like Andor had to pay by compromising his morals, he had helped change the course of the Rebellion and history as a whole. And then after Rogue One transmitted the plans to the fellow rebels, the intel was used to eventually destroy the Death Star at the Battle of Yavin. As the Galactic Civil War wore on, Luke Skywalker, the pilot who had destroyed the Death Star, named a new starfighter group, Rogue Squadron, in honor of Andor's team.
Yeah, and kind of more on that, there is no Rogue One designation in that squadron. It is Rogue Leader and then Rogue 2. And that's very intentional.
And then after the Battle of Yavin, a rebel group known as the Strikes were ambushed on Tanab by agents of the ISB. The Alliance captured the transmission from Hutt space, and the sole survivor, Kulon Emat, in a memo to Mothma. Gosh, words are hard. Draven wished Andor were alive, as he had been Draven's first pick to extract Amat and bring him to safety for his knowledge and expertise of the Hutt underworld. But that is what we have for Andor's history as of right now, until we see more of his history revealed in the series. And mind you, so Andor season 1 is 12 episodes. There is a season 2. I believe season 2 will be another 12 episodes at a later date. So we do know we're going to get multiple seasons for them.
Yes. I don't think it's going to be the 5 that were like original, because I read an article that the actors originally signed on for like 5 seasons, but I think they have since attempted to renegotiate that.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, as far as I know, like that's only slated for 2 seasons at the moment. Honestly, I mean, we can get a lot of his history and they can fill the gaps in, but there's only so much they can do because he actually has a end time. Right. Or they have actually up to Rogue One. So they have up to 2 BBY, or 1 BBY is when Rogue One starts.
No, so 1 BBY is the year after the Battle of Yavin. So all of that takes place in 0 BBY. Or 0 ABY. So okay. one BBY is 1 year before 0 ABY.
Okay.
So
the calendar sucks.
Yes. So Rogue One, the end of Rebels. Wait, no. Yes. Rogue One, the end of Rebels, and A New Hope all take place in 0 ABY. And there's a whole new calendar that...
Yeah, because it's after the Battle of Yavin.
Yeah, and then there's a whole new calendar system now that centers around, I think it's called the Star Killer Incident or something like that.
Oh, that's right, with the sequel stuff. Because there was a dramatic event, because, Star Killer Base destroyed basically the entire Republic, and... Right. Yeah, we'll get to that when we get to that.
But we haven't... You can make that the calendar when you start making content that takes place after that event. You got to do that first.
Fair. That is true.
But anyway, is that all we got?
That is all we got.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to the Holocron Histories podcast.
And may the Force be with you. Thank you for listening to Holocron Histories, Star Wars Canon versus Legends. You can find us on the Robots Radio Discord at robotsradio.net. You can also follow us on Twitter at SWHoloHistories and contact us at holocronhistories@gmail.com. Woo!
Yeah, thank you, chat, everyone who hung around. You're still around. Thank you.
So much fun. Yeah, ew on the smelling of communications. That is weird. Yeah.
It's time. Yes, next week. Back to ships.
Back to ships next week.
To the A-Wing, I believe.
Oh, no, next week is patron chat.
Oh, next week is patron chat.
So 2 weeks.
Week after next. 2 weeks we'll be back to ships.
2 weeks we'll be back to ships.
It's hello, puppy. I know you have not gotten the attention you think you deserve.
I'll be doing the patron chat the day before I come back. Day before I go on my vacation. And then I'll be back. I will be back. Yeah, I come back that Monday, so I'll be here Tuesday.
Okay. I've never read the original Thrawn books. Have you?
Mm-mm. I have not. I hear they're good. I hear it's a lot more in like Thrawn's history is like not that long in Legends though.
No, because he just appears.
And he just appears, shows up, and then gets defeated, and then
Right.
gone.
Right. Whereas, like, you have a whole introduction to him, and like you have his whole books that take place before the original trilogy that kind of flesh out his character. We're gonna get more in the Ahsoka show.
I'm still curious who they're going to cast as Thrawn.
I thought it was confirmed that his voice actor was gonna do it.
Ooh. Okay, I'm down with that.
That might still be rumors, but I heard that was all but confirmed.
Ooh, that would be sick. That would be amazing if that's the case.
But anyway,
They're doing
I gotta go.
Cool.
Yep.
See you.